Hello and welcome to Industry Spotlight with Creative First. Our guest today is Ashish Kulkarni, Chairman of the International Business Development Committee of the Media and Entertainment Skills Council, Chairman AVGC XR Forum at FICCI, and founder Punaryug Art Vision Private Limited. A renowned industry leader and visionary, Ashish has set up world-class animation studios in India, created original animated content, as well as completed and marketed several animation films for Hollywood studios. He is a mentor to budding artists and has organized workshops for parents and youth in over 70 cities to promote careers in AVGC. He holds a bachelor's degree in physics from Hislop College, Nagpur. Ashish, it's such a pleasure to welcome you to this discussion.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Ashish, why do you think the AVGC sector is critical to India's creative economy?
So, in the year 1997, when I got into animation, I realized because I got in from moving more towards the digital side of it. Uh, and eventually, we realized that the digital form of storytelling is going to be the order of the day. And I think the digital content ecosystem and the digital content economy that is getting developed. So in 2000, I coined this word called AVGC, Animation, Visual Effects, Gaming, and Comics. And I founded the AVGC. And XRV added in 2017, by the way, because it's all about the similar kind of skills that are required to create this content. And this was the most engaging content that was getting created. And whether you make live action films or OTT films or the content for television, visual effects has become an inevitable part of it, including ad films and even the documentaries today. At the same time, the animation was, not only engaging kids, but slowly started engaging people from all ages and all walks of life. And that's where we realized that at one point in time, we used to read books and the newspapers. Then it became digital. We started reading Wikipedia pages and books on Kindle and rest of the platforms. And then it came suddenly into the era after the COVID that nobody wants to read. They want to watch the videos and understand the content or learn the news also from watching videos. And that's why the creation of videos is going to be at its best for doing anything, whether you are into education, promotion of your products, or information, or even the news. Everything is going to be in the form of the videos. So who is going to create these videos? And that's where the AVGC XR is very, very important. And today, the immersive form of storytelling is also catching up. As you know, the gaming is engaging you in the story, and that's where it's a form of engagement in the storytelling. And same is with the XR, because today everybody would like to enhance the form of storytelling and create a surrounding around you and get you into the environment. And that's why AVGC became very important, and that's why we feel that the countries should invest into these areas to create jobs for the youngsters and make them give them a proper hygiene and status for making career into these areas, because it comes under the creative arts and sciences, and this kind of structure never existed, arts or science or commerce. So a mixing of creative arts and sciences as a vertical is the order of the day. And that's why AVGC is very important.
What was the initial
Girls, are you
vision
all
behind
getting a little bit of
establishing the
lag
National
when
Center of
there's
Excellence for
movement
the
when
AVGC
he
sector?
moves? I'm finding a little lag.
So, Lalita, issue, it all started with 2005. I wrote a white paper that, India has created world-class institutions like IIT and IIMs for technology and management. And it is now a time that we need to create an IIT, IIM kind of an institution for AVGC because it's a sunrise sector. And that white paper got an attention of the INB ministry, and it was actually addressed to them and to the Prime Minister at that time. And then we started having a brainstorming session. Subsequently, the government of India appointed PwC to make a project report. And initially, this was supposed to come up in Mohali, but then the thought process was that unless and until the people who are working in the field comes and teach to the students, then it makes sense because it's more of a experiential learning from the people who are the masters of the art. And then uh, it was supposed to come up into Mumbai, uh, and through different process, then some thought process went in that one of the IITs should do it. And then again, it was thought that we need to keep it a standalone because to get its own entity because of the creative arts and sciences together. So now it's been completely cleared, and now it's a structure that is coming up between government and the industry bodies together. And it is coming up in Mumbai over 10 acres of land in the film city in Goregaon. So, having got all the clearances from the cabinet at the government of India and INB ministry right now is in the process of setting the whole structure up. And nevertheless, the construction of the building and all will take time. But we don't want to waste any time, and that's when the Secretary, Mr. Sanjay Jaju, who's actually been, very upbeat about this whole project, gave us around 35 acres of 35,000 square feet of space in NFDC building in the Pedder Road. And we're just doing their interiors. So sometime around December, January, we see that at least the centers can start, and we can start with finishing programs and few other critical programs that are required for industry to move forward, which is in the short term format. And the long term format programs will start eventually as we move into the year two and year three. And then as we move into the new premises that is going to come up in the campus that is going to come up in the Goregaon. So this is probably one of the very encouraging, uh, you know, uh, institution that is getting built for India. And on the first, it is a collaboration between Government of India and the industry bodies like CII and FICCI. So it's going to be very unique.
I'm sure this center is going to contribute to the Prime Minister's vision to make India a content hub of the world. How do you see this progress happening in the next 5 years?
See, the thing is, it's very rare that, a prime minister of any country actually understands that there are growing sectors and how, our prime minister defined AVGC 2 years ago to make people understand that this is a sector to invest into and sector to make a career into. At the same time, the high point came in when Prime Minister from the Red Fort, the annual Independence Day speech spoke about why animation and gaming is important, why design in India is important, why create in India is important, and how create in India for the world is going to actually make India successful in the form of latest forms of storytelling. And the importance of animation was again explained by him in Man Ki Baat just about a week ago. And that actually gives a lot of energy to all the stakeholders of AVGC XR in India. And even as we look at multiple countries, they say that the way India is talking about a national policy and the state policies for AVGC XR, it is the place to go to. Moreover, the government has taken right steps by creating incentive for people to outsource work to India in animation and visual effects apart from live action. At the same time, the co-production treaties signed with 16 countries is now backed with a co-production fund. So in the next 5 years, as you tell me, it's a restructuring of the complete offering that India has. India was always known as an outsourcing hub. So we were talking about services business in India. So we are not only going to be upscaling the services business, but we are going to be actually be considered, you know, across the value chain. We were only looking, people were only looking at us as, the services outsourcing for production. Now it's services outsourcing for pre-production and design as well. So you have kind of grown on the left side, as I say, which is a uh, uh, thing which is about creating the new concept or visualization or creating concept art and everything, storyboarding to character design to everything. That's a pre-production. At the same time, people are considering India as a post-production partner as well. So you are playing a role in services across ideation to script to screen. And that's a very unique thing, from production for last 25 years to now be considered across. So that's about the services part. But in the next 5 years, the focus is going to be on creating Indian IPs and taking them global. So that's something which is going to be very, very critical to develop a, a very niche skill. In India, you require a very different thinking process when you create IP, and it's a very responsible IP, whether you are creating it in animation, gaming, visual effects, comics, or XR. Specifically in gaming, because as you know, there is a very thin line between the game of skill and game of chance. And
Yes.
the game of chance is not allowed in India. The baiting is not allowed. So how do you really continue to create IP, which is going to be making sure that it is responsible gaming. It's taking care of consumer protection. It's taking care of every uh, kind of a rule that has been set up. Although right now the regulation has not come into full force, but eventually we are going to see the regulation is going to happen into the gaming sector.
Yes.
So it's a preparation in terms of skills at every level. So if you look at the pyramid, when you look at the IP part of it, it will be the top of the pyramid, skills. The middle of the pyramid will always be a good services sector. And the bottom of pyramid will be people joining in to the ecosystem, which is actually getting them ready to do services within India and services for overseas. And that's how they look at an upward mobility, whether you continue to go from services to IP, or you continue to go from doing television OTT to feature films. So these are two upward mobility kind of concepts, and more so, India is now making about 148 different museums sponsored by the government of India and the private sector. And the immersive experiences, 3D mapping, and a lot of other things are coming up as a part of the career making for the kids. At the same time, the whole space that started with architectural design into building information and modeling, and then converting it into a digital twin. Now it is coming into urban planning, the city planning, the industrial planning to everything, and including all the big institutions, the factories, and also the cities are getting a digital twin done uh, of itself. That's going to be another big source under AVGC XR for people to actually make career into. So, in terms of the National Center of Excellence, it's going to be, uh, you know, fueling the whole concept of uh, uh, spreading message in terms of all these new avenues where people can make their careers into. At the same time, all the state governments are also creating center of excellence. So it's going to be a hub and spoke model. The National Center of Excellence is going to be the major hub, and then there will be specialized center of excellences across every state, where some people will, identify gaming as their specialization area. Some people will look at, visual effects as their area of specialization. Some states are concentrating on comic books, and the comic book artists are very rare, and they are ample of them into Bengal and Rajasthan and Kerala. So those states probably might look at creating the center of excellence for comics. And mind you, that's the cheapest form of copywriting your content and design. So that's going to be another big swing that India is going to create in terms of the comic art, and then getting them to the digital format through motion comics and motion graphics, so that you have a storytelling happening in all these areas. And then to also encourage educational institutions across India to allow them to create creative arts and sciences departments together and create these programs. And National Center of Excellence will work as creating a guideline for all these programs. So much so it will work with the AICT and the UGC as well to define new nomenclatures. Like right now, people do BSc, BA, or Bachelor of Design, uh, or Bachelor of Visual Arts, but we are going to introduce something called as Bachelor of Creative Arts and Sciences, Bachelor of Graphic Arts, Bachelor of Immersive Entertainment, or Bachelor of Immersive Arts and Sciences. Then Bachelor of, uh, you know, uh, the digital twins, or any of these very specific things that are going to come through the BIM offering. And it's also going to encourage the government officials from different states and center to look at this space to be integrated with their workflows, so that the work can actually become easier. In terms of defense, I can tell you that the gaming plays a very major role, and the digital twins plays a very major role because they can plan things. They exactly know where the things are when you're planning some activities, whether it's into the open terrain or into the cities. For things, the cyber security issues are also going to be connected, and we will be knowing the natural calamities that are happening in terms of, the floods, or any of the congestion because of the traffic, or if you
Sure.
have events and concerts, the simulation can be done on the digital twins. And that's where we are going to find it very, very interesting. The the way these technologies, the creative arts and sciences, can add value to manufacturing, education, governance, and also the control of the cities, the control of traffic, and various measures that can be simulated, and even the smoke simulation, all in case of fire and everything. So I think overall, it's going to be a preparation for us to get into the future in the next 5 years, and get our skills ready to serve the world. As the Prime Minister said, create in India for the world, design in India for the world. So this is something which is very interesting. Nobody in the past has given the kind of importance the creativity and the design can have, which can actually not only make services offerings, but also make an IP offering and add to the technology. So the another wing that is important is the media and entertainment technology. The way people are creating these technology and tools through AI or through any other source. So that is also going to be one of the offerings of National Center of Excellence. And the incubation is going to be concentrating on each aspect of it. So it's going to be a first point contact for anything and everything that you do into this space. So it's a very encouraging thing that India is creating such a center, and it's going to look at the complete media and entertainment space eventually, because AVGC XR is going to touch every form of storytelling.
So coming back to the hub and spoke model that you spoke about, and also the interesting concept of merging creativity with science, so arts and sciences, how do you envision talent development, ultimately creating jobs through the center? I mean, do you have a phase-wise way of going about it? And also, what timeline do you have in your mind to achieve this? Because we're
Yes.
obviously at a very nascent stage. So are you
Yeah,
all going to
so
have universities? How will it really work on ground?
yeah, so if you know, we have constituted something called as Media and Entertainment Skill Council through FICCI in the year 2012. And today, Media and Entertainment Skill Council has played a very major role in kind of structuring this complete ecosystem in terms of job roles, in terms of qualification packs, in terms of designing the curriculum framework, and also the credit framework, which is accepted with the university framework itself. So it's a part of uh, the complete ecosystem India has. So one of the missing pieces was that the school education never gave importance to creative arts, design, and performing arts and sports.
Yes.
So through the National Education Policy 2020, India actually started implementing the ecosystem into the school education as well. And that's where we see a major, uh, you know, uh, support line coming to us, because we believe that uh, catching students younger uh, in age and then introducing them to creative arts and sciences is more important, including sports and performing arts. And I think that's where the foundation is going to be much stronger. So we are presently working with CBSC, ICSE, and CRT, and all the state boards to help them make a career, to help them make curriculums which are for creative arts, design, and performing arts. Um, and that's going to lay a foundation and a way forward for people to come into universities prepared to come to join AVGC, XR, and filmmaking, and uh, you know, uh, making uh, the new age kind of storytelling. You need to understand that there has to be a right balance of technology, tools, and the foundation of creative arts itself. Uh, what is happening is that many a time people miss out on the foundation programs. They directly touch the software. People think that learning, Photoshop, they can become a painter. It's not true. You have to become a painter first to start using Photoshop more effectively. So we are actually helping universities make those curriculums. And some people thought that they can teach animation and gaming in the schools. So that's not correct. You don't teach engineering and medical in the schools. You teach them in mathematics, physics, chemistry, science, like biology, and that becomes a foundation for them to get into either a medical science or engineering. Similar way, we are creating a pathway and getting a level playing field for arts and sciences combination together, and also performing arts as a respective, you know, uh, dignity and hygiene both.
Right.
So it's about making a perception amongst the students, parents, and the teachers to allow them to make careers equally into creative arts and performing arts and design. So I think that process has already begun.
Right.
So there's a lot of work, whether you are working at the school education level or you're working towards the higher education level. In higher education, there were set norms that if somebody is teaching undergrad, they have to be masters degree
Yes.
holders. Somebody teaching masters have to be PhDs. But in our field and sports, we have none because we never existed in formal education. So now the UGC has introduced something called Professor of Practice and Faculty of Practice. So if you are not a degree holder, but you are still a great filmmaker, you can go and teach. If you are a great gamer, you can still go and teach. If you're a great cricket player or a basketball player or a football player, you can still go and teach. So the issue is that those lines will have to be, uh, you know, uh, removed as a barrier. At the same time, we are facing issues in terms of the assessment patterns because most of the assessment that happens in the structure is by giving 3 hours written exam at the end of the semesters, and that's not good for acting or painting or sculpting or compositing. You can't give a written exam. You need to do it and show it in photography or in
Yes.
any form of art and creation of content. And that's why more practical oriented assessment programs, group project assessment programs are coming up. And it is basically introducing a whole new culture and making space for these verticals to be assessed differently than what engineering does or what you know medical education or bachelor of science or bachelor of commerce does or bachelor of business administration does. So I think that's where there is a dignity and respect which is slowly starting to build, and the acceptance amongst the parents and the teachers to allow the kids to make career into these areas. And the kids are getting more aware today that they can have their livelihood and sustenance through making these careers. They don't have to become engineers and then come back and do animation, or they
Right.
don't have to become architects and come and do comic books or games. So I think those things are getting cleared. At the same time, we are also seeing an encouraging response from the universities when we have started these divisions into the bigger universities where our engineering programs are. They are now offering uh, a photography or filmmaking program to engineering students as well. There are music programs for doctors as well. There are drawing and photography programs for doctors as well. So we are working with Government of India Higher Education that they have assigned something to IIT Madras and KPMG to create Swayam Plus. So we are working closely with Swayam Plus, where we have created a portal uh, which is actually managed by IIT Madras, where all our programs are available right now, and students can take it from anywhere in the country. And these are self-taught programs. There are fully online programs. There's some intervention that happens on a weekly basis or fortnightly basis from the specialists who come in. But the good thing is that if you're going to say university in Indore or in Bilaspur or in Guwahati, and your university you're doing engineering and you want to learn music or you want to learn animation, and your university doesn't have it, you can take it from Swayam Plus and you can transfer the credit to your main course. So you can do a minor in music along with your engineering and take that program from Swayam Plus if it's not available in your university. And the credit transfer system is very, very important because that where students don't have to do it as an extracurricular activity and keep it as a hobby, but it can be a part of their mainstream. And I think the music program has given a very fabulous results because it actually helps them in their cognitive development, the mental peace, the complete mental health that they have, and they can concentrate better on their specialization areas if they are doing something creative and music together, and apart from engineering and chartered accountancy and law and all. So I think we have realized that these outcomes are really encouraging, and we didn't allow it earlier, but now that it's allowed, we it's up to us to really make it happen. And I think the next 5 years is going to see the change that has not happened for the last 75 years in the education system. And you're going to see it evolve very well. In next 7 years to 10 years, I believe India will be having some of the finest campuses of education in the world, with the great amount of case studies and the complete, you know, I would say, a technical as well as foundational arts combination together, because India still has, you can still do your projects into the rural areas and come back to your university. So it still has that offering, unlike many other countries. So I think in terms of education, when people used to go out, now people will start thinking that you have to come to India to get educated, in especially to do your undergrads, masters, and all. And if you actually do that education here, you have a lot more to learn in terms of your cultural skills, your people skills in particular, and your social skills. I think to become a global citizen, all these things are required apart from your subject matter expertise. And I think India is going to offer that, and it's going to be the capital for education and skilling together. Because today we look at skilling and education separately, but I think in the next 7 years, 8 to 10 years, there'll come a situation that we'll have to merge both of them, because both will have to be required together. Education is required for you to have a better understanding, and skill is required for you to have livelihood. So both of them will have to coexist.
Ashish, we spoke about education skills. We also spoke about merging of these two. But let's come back to the creative economy. Uh, how do you think the center will help, people promote local narratives, folklore? I mean, we have such a rich culture, and promote it in a manner that is acceptable to global platforms and a global audience.
See,
Universal stories.
yeah, I understand. So, in one way, OTT platforms have actually started doing that. We have seen a surge of, a lot of content which came from rural India in streaming. I'm saying OTT, not only OTT, but even the YouTube culture. Uh,
Correct, but
you, you-
specifically from an AVGC perspective.
yeah, so I'm coming to that. The issue is that today all these forms in its in own original formats will not be able to come in the forefront in the digital, like we have Patachitra, or we have folk music forms. They find their space into YouTube. But no sooner you convert that into a comic book design, you convert the Kerala mural art into an animation design. You look at one movie called Punya Koti, which is done by an IT engineer who was very passionate about storytelling. He created the first Sanskrit animation film called Punya Koti. You look at a design. Now he's making his second film, that too in Sanskrit. Now the thing is that uh, the 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 art forms that he is using is a folk art form, and converting that to a digital art form through animation to tell that story. And people are liking it world over. So if you look at the following of those art forms, it's fabulous. So even if I look at some of the folk music and how that actually comes into the latest use into our film industry. So some of the songs that we now realize that they came from the ball, music, folk music from Bengal, or it came from folk music from Bihar or in Maharashtra. So some of these forms actually will now find its way, because the IP from India is on the surge, and the government is trying to help original IP creation and support it through the co-production as well. Because not all the time we are going to produce IPs from the foreign countries origin, and they're coming to India for creation of IP only because of services.
Right.
Uh, but now it has to, there's a time and there is a support, because if you didn't have co-production fund from India, we couldn't push for our ideas. Now that we have co-production fund as well, and we have a captive audience, uh, it's time for us to push our folk art and our traditional heritage stories along with its art forms to the next level. And you look at the museums today, and I'm working on one such museum on Adi Shankaracharya in Omkareshwar. We have Adi Shankaracharya's depiction in all art forms of India. Whether it's a Varli art form or a Kerala mural or Gond art form or Chapatachitra. So the trust actually decided to look at 40, 50 art forms and create, the depiction of Adi Shankaracharya in all those art forms. Now it's, time that we actually make the storybooks with those art forms, and then the storybooks will become animated stories, and they will use the same art forms. So they will evolve like what anime is to Japan. It's evolved from the manga style of comic books. When it was animated, it became anime, and today anime is popular all over the world. Similarly, I see in the next 7, 10 years there will be evolving an Indian form of storytelling, which is more of a pictorial form and a music form, which will come together and which will become the Indian style of storytelling in terms of audiovisual. And I think in live action, people have already done that. And I'm so proud of fashion designers of India. They're not talked about much, but what they have done to the whole ecosystem of fashion world over is fabulous. You
Yes.
look at the design of storytelling that came from the Indian cinema, where the marriages became a 3, 4 days affair. It was traditionally in all states, it was not a 3, 4 day affair. It was a 1 day affair. But today, whether you go to South or you go to Maharashtra or to Bengal, the Mehndi to Sangeet to the wedding to Feras to reception to the whole lot of celebration with different form of clothing and different form of music and food. Everything happens, people celebrate. And why it has happened like that is because it's an outcome of the Indian cinema. Okay. The clothing that happens today, the wardrobe that gets created for wedding, not only for the bride and groom, but for the parents to their relatives and everybody. It's a pure success of Indian fashion design. You look at the costume design in the films today, you look at the costume design in animation, it is slowly becoming an area of specialization. So I believe all these art forms are going to find their ways, because the digital form of storytelling, whether it's live action or animation or gaming, is going to find these ways of depiction coming from its roots. And if you make that strong connection, Indian heritage is going to be giving new set of colors and designs to the world. And Indian cinema already gives it, and I'm so proud of it. And I'm very proud of what the fashion teams have done as a career. So youngsters making career in fashion design, they've done a fabulous job of even having a blend of Western and the Indian together and coming out of the completely new design. I think the same results you're going to see happening into the pictorial form of storytelling and also the music form of storytelling.
How does the center plan to foster international collaborations, and what opportunities do you see for global partnerships in AVGC?
So, looking at this opportunity, we also constantly spoke to the government, and today center has very consciously decided to participate with India Pavilion into various markets. So that's an outreach program. So we actually, whether it's MIPCOM or whether it's going to be Kids Screen or whether it's NSE Animation Festival or it is ATF, India today has a pavilion. For the last 5, 6 years, we have India as a pavilion, and we actually take a whole lot of people along with us, all studios. This year onwards, we have also started taking the technology companies who are creating media and entertainment technology. So in MIPCOM, there was a MIP Innovation Lab, and there were a few Indian companies all present there with their own technology, especially the company called uh, DCT, Digital Convergence Technologies. They have a product called DCafe, which helps you make an OTT platform in 3 weeks' time.
Wow.
And they actually are a fabulous company, mostly working in the US and UK, but with the whole backend in India. Now they've started offering that to the Indians also. They have come up with a virtual campus. So you have a physical campus of your university. You can create with them a virtual campus platform also. So everybody is on the virtual campus and the physical campus both at the same time. Very uniquely designed for education. And then another one, which is the tourism bit that they've created. So they had a lot of offerings to various media and entertainment companies. So in the outreach, we have earmarked several things, and the government is closely working on creating India Pavilion at every place, whether it's convention or a game developer conference, or it's a NAB or any of these. Every place you're going to find the presence of India is going to be higher with a consolidated effort of everybody under one roof as the contingent. The second is that how do you get people to India? Uh, and that's where the Waves conference has been created. It's called the World Audio Visual and Entertainment Summit. It was supposed to happen along with IFI in Goa, but then that they're required because a lot of infrastructure is required to have both these together. So it is decided to have it in Delhi. So on 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, it's going to be in Bharat Mandapam in Delhi. So
In
it's
Delhi,
going to be
right?
probably, yeah,
Yes.
it's going to be a very, very big convention
Yes.
where it's not only about AVGC, it's going to be the overall media and entertainment, including AVGC, will have a big presence there. And I think that's where we need to be up into the calendar of all the international media and entertainment and segment, that they need to make it a point to come to India for a market and exposition at least once in a year. And that's how we can actually give them an exposure to what is the Indian, media and entertainment ecosystem is, what Indian stories are all about. And I think that's where there would be another effort to actually project the right policies, the right kind of an encouragement to create content from India by creating this whole festival or an event that we call it summit, which will be full of a mix of conferences as well as case studies, B2B meetings, and also the exposition. So there will be an exhibition area as well, and a market area. So I think uh, it's kind of building. So the central government and state governments all are doing well in terms of promoting. They've realized it now that it would help investing into these areas. And I think for the first time, you're going to see an integration of gaming in very big way. So the
Right.
esports and gaming is also going to be a part of the ecosystem in a very large numbers. And I think that's going to also look at one of the understanding that people are going to have is that when you create a film, it is needs to also have a comic book, also needs to have an animation, and a game as well. And I think it's a 360-degree approach will come through only when we have such collaborations, all aspects of media and entertainment under one roof. And I think both these programs, in terms of outreach as well as in terms of creating event in India, and mind you, every state is also creating their own event.
Yes.
So in Bangalore, we have GAFX, we have Magnetic Maharashtra in Maharashtra, we have Animation Master Summit in Kerala, we have Animela, which is also going there, which is a partnership with NSC. We have India Joy starting in Hyderabad, which is a Telangana event, which is visited by almost 12,000, 15,000 people. So every state is also, creating an inward, event whereby the state skills and the complete infrastructure that they are developing, the policy that they're creating to invite, foreign studios and other studios to make its home is also going to be seen. And to to tell you frankly, many states, very small states like say Odisha or northeastern states like you had Sikkim and Assam, Tripura and Meghalaya, Manipur. They always thought that they would become film states, and some of them could not become film states.
Yes.
Rajasthan, to that matter, Haryana. Now they are wanting to become AVGC states, and they are all having AVGC policies now. Rajasthan is going to announce its policy. Haryana is going to announce its policy. Now they can contribute to the media and entertainment and film, and also create jobs in their own states through AVGC XR. So I think it's a great going as far as the complete, I would say, awareness and marketability of Indian skills, and the complete outreach program that is getting created for people to establish their businesses and come and shoot into their states. All this is promoted at the same events. So I think it's going to bring India up. And although everything that we are doing right now, everything that we did in last 25 years brought us to 1% of the global market. Now it's time to grow from 1% to the 10% of global market within the next 5 to 7 years. That's a tall order. And I think all this is going to be required to achieve that percentage of global share. And I think IP is going to make the growth possible in much faster way than it has happened in the last 2.5 decades.
Ashish, thank you so much for this engaging discussion. As an industry forum, we will ensure that your vision, the government's vision, is propagated to the right target audience. I think a lot of young people out there need to know about these initiatives. And I thank you for your time today.